You know that moment when someone asks, "How are you?" and you say, "I'm fine," with a smile, but inside you're really holding your entire life together with a coffee and sheer willpower? Because fine really means fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. Yes, this episode is for that version of you. Hello and welcome to Rebel to Rise, where business meets human design. I'm Erin Hines, your darn good business coach, here to help you break the rules, trust your instincts, and own your brilliance unapologetically. In this space, we blend the power of human design with real-world business strategy so you can ditch the shoulds, embrace your true self, and create a life and career that lights you up every single day. Ready to rebel, rise, and redefine success on your terms? Let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back to Rebel to Rise, where we don't pretend everything's okay when it's not, and we definitely don't subscribe to the myth that strong leaders never crack. Today, we're diving into the trap of keeping it all together, and how it's secretly draining your power, your creativity, and your joy. I'm sharing one of the hardest leadership moments I've had when I was running the Rose Float program, juggling 1,000 things during crunch time and trying to hold myself together while both my grandma and brother were in the ICU. It's one of those on paper, I was fine stories, but I very much was not. If you've ever felt like the weight of everything is on your shoulders, or like admitting you're not okay means you'll lose credibility, this episode is your permission slip to take off that mask, loosen the grip, and be a human again. So let's dive into it. There's this unspoken rule in leadership that we're supposed to be calm, cool, collected, and always composed. As a leader, you're the one that people turn to for answers. You're supposed to stay grounded when everything's getting thrown at you, there's a million decisions to make, and it feels like everything might fall apart. But what happens when you're the one falling apart on the inside? That's exactly where I found myself during my time running the Rose Float program at Cal Poly Pomona. We were down to the wire before the parade. Deadlines were looming, safety inspections were nonstop. We were in the final 2 weeks of crunch time. And it was up to me to make sure that everything got done and that millions of viewers loved the float that we built. Then life threw me a gut punch. Both my grandma and brother were suddenly in the ICU at the same time for totally unrelated reasons. It was very difficult for me, but I kept pushing. I kept working. I was delegating tasks, smiling at my team, but on the inside, I was cracking. The weight of the float, my family, and my own expectations were getting too much. I knew my grandma was so proud of me for what I was doing, and my brother was getting better, and he told me to stay, so I did. I tried to hold it all together because that's what I was taught. That's what I grew up seeing. This was my job, and people relying on me, so I needed to push through. I thought being a good leader meant never letting anyone see you sweat, see you crack. You were somehow supposed to be invincible. But eventually I broke, and I cried a lot. I finally told my team what was going on, and instead of losing respect like I feared, my team stepped up. They basically kicked my butt out the door and told me to take time off. They took charge. And it's funny because looking back, I don't know why I waited so long to say something. I didn't need to be or do it all. I had built a strong, capable team that I could trust. And yes, I felt like a mess. I was emotional and kind of embarrassed at the time, but it also became a defining leadership lesson for me. Real leadership isn't about being invincible. It's about being honest, raw, and human. You know that invisible mask you wear when you walk into a room full of strangers and pretend you're totally confident, totally qualified, totally fine? I wore that mask a lot when I first started my business. I would go to networking events where everyone seemed so much farther ahead. They had teams, revenue, strategies, a polished pitch, and I just felt like I was so far behind. I thought I had to sound like I had it all together or no one would take me seriously. And it's silly because I was just starting my business. Of course, I don't have my shit together. But at the time, I tried to talk the part, look the part, smile, nodding, holding back questions I wanted to ask because I didn't want to sound like a beginner. But inside, I was second guessing everything. It was exhausting. It was a great way to fake it till you make it, and I really nailed my pitch. But the irony was, I wasn't building deep relationships because I was too busy managing my mask. I didn't realize until later that I was unconsciously reenacting my old patterns, situations where I felt like I had to prove myself, just like that rose float story. Situations where vulnerability did not feel safe. And the truth is, when you're constantly performing, when you're trying to say the right thing, do the right thing, be the right kind of leader or business owner, you lose access to your actual magic. The real you, the one with curiosity, depth, emotion, instincts, humor, and wisdom, all of that gets buried under perfectionism and pressure. And let's be honest, perfectionism is boring. I was boring people when I did that. Perfectionism is fragile. It creates disconnection, not credibility like I thought it was. Being perfect doesn't make you powerful, and you don't need to have it all figured out to lead. Most of us don't have anything figured out, and we're taking one step at a time. What finally did help me drop that mask was simplification. Simplification is not the sexiest word, but damn, it is powerful. There was this concept I used all the time when I worked as a business analyst. When a system gets overloaded, simplify. Too many processes, simplify. Too many bottlenecks, simplify. Too much crashing and chaos, you guessed it, simplify. And one day I realized I needed to apply that same principle to me. My calendar was a mess. My brain felt like a browser with 37 tabs open. I was doing so many things just to try to keep up with what I saw online, but they weren't aligned to me. They weren't lighting me up. It was kind of like I was throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping something would stick. And none of it was helping me show up as the grounded, magnetic leader I wanted to be. So I paused. I looked at everything I was doing, and I asked the simplest, most clarifying question. What if I didn't try to do it all? What if I let go of all the shoulds and focus solely on what actually worked for me? And oh boy, that one question changed everything. I stopped overcommitting my time in signing up for every course and masterclass under the sun. I hired a coach to help me get focused. I doubled down on my offer funnel by promoting my offers with intention instead of just throwing out a new offer every few months. And I decided to stop trying to be everywhere and only focus on one marketing avenue. It seems crazy, but when I started doing less, I started getting better results. One of my recent clients had a similar breakthrough. She was stuck in overthinking, spinning her wheels to create the perfect offer and launching something every few months. Once we simplified her business through the lens of her human design, she realized she was spending 80% of her time on things that drained her. After delegating or dropping those draining tasks altogether, we restructured her week so she could focus on what energized her. And within a month, she was attracting more aligned clients without doing more. She told me, I didn't think it could be that easy. She was thinking she had to hustle for it to work. I hear this all the time, but when you simplify and align, you create a system that supports you instead of drains you. That's when magic happens. Here's the truth most leaders and business owners don't say aloud. If you feel overwhelmed, stuck, or like you're losing momentum, it's probably not because you're lazy or unmotivated or bad at business. It's because you're trying to lead like someone you're not. You've been handed someone else's blueprint, some online guru strategy, some productivity hack, some perfectly curated morning routine that makes them feel powerful, Or if you're like me, you believe that you have to have your shit together to be respected. But as I've learned, all of that is a recipe for burnout. This is where human design changed the game for me and so many of my clients. Your human design isn't a personality test. It's a energetic blueprint that shows you how you're meant to make decisions, manage your energy, and create momentum your way. It's the U-shaped path through all the noise. For me, as an emotional generator, my energy thrives when I'm following what's exciting me, and I honor my emotional wave, giving myself time and space before making big decisions. But you know what doesn't work for me? Forcing clarity on the spot, making decisions just to check something off, pushing myself to do things that feel like a full body no, but I do them because I think I should. That's what creates burnout, not your design, but your resistance to it. One of the best things I ever did was starting to hone my energy. If I'm not feeling lit up by something, I pause, I wait, I get curious. And guess what? That one simple shift has made my business more successful and sustainable, because when I'm aligned, I'm magnetic. When I'm grounded in my design, people feel that. And when I stop pretending I have it all together, I give other people permission to do the same. So if you're listening to this thinking, wow, I feel seen, good. You're not behind, you're not broken, you're just ready for a new way of leading. One that doesn't require you to be perfect, polished, or pretend you're fine. Because, let's be real, no one has it all figured out. But the brave ones out there stop chasing someone else's version of success, and they simplified. They got support, they led like themselves, and that is what makes them powerful. So if you've been carrying the weight of keeping it all together, if you've been trying to lead like someone else, waiting to feel ready, or hiding behind a mask of perfection, consider this your permission slip to let it go. You don't need to be more polished. You don't need another strategy that isn't designed for you. You just need to remember who the hell you are and lead from there. Because the most powerful leaders I know aren't the ones that never crack. They're the ones who know when to pause, when to ask for help, when to simplify, and when to trust their own damn energy over what the internet says. If this episode hit home, I'd love to invite you to go deeper. Book a human design reading with me and explore how you are uniquely designed to lead, decide, and thrive. You don't need another one-size-fits-all plan. You need your blueprint. I'll leave the details to book below. And if this resonated with you, it would mean the world to me if you left a review, shared this episode, or dropped a comment and let me know what stood out to you. Every time you share, it helps more leaders like you find their way back to themselves, because you don't have to hold it all together to be powerful. Until next time, keep rebelling, keep rising. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Rebel to Rise, where business meets human design. I hope you feel inspired to break free from those shoulds in your life and trust your inner compass as you create a life and business that truly lights you up. Remember, every day is a chance to rebel against the ordinary and rise into your authentic power. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow rebel who is ready to lead their lives unapologetically. Until next time, keep trusting your intuition, keep breaking the rules, and most importantly, keep rising.